Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sarah and Adam Show. I'm your host, Adam, and this is my guest, Sarah. How are you doing today, Sarah?
Rude. When did I get relegated as guest?
I don't know. Better than being relegated to Ghost.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, being a ghost is super hip. I guess like old bed is like would side with you with that.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm more powerful than you could possibly imagine
he
being a
to-
ghost.
he totally would.
I think it was just a more of a crack at Anakin's creativity.
Whatever. Whatever.
He was like, you can't even imagine anything. So that's why. That's how powerful I'll be. Anyways, we've got Bad Batch today, and we've
Hmm.
got Willow, and um, I'm a little bit afraid actually. Once Willow's gone, like just talking about Bad Batch, like, hey, let's talk about a 24-minute episode real quick.
I know. I feel like we could just dissect it like crazy though,
Like crazy.
if we wanted to.
Crazy like a fox, kind of crazy, or
No, just crazy.
very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have news a little bit, not much actually, like really almost nothing at all.
Yeah. There really wasn't anything. I looked again for Wheel of Time just to you know be consistent and let everyone know that I'm still clinging on an actual date. There is not one,
Oh, okay.
just in case you didn't know.
I wasn't actually curious.
I know. Um, yeah, but there's like a Disney Plus trailer streaming 2023 kind of thing that's been released, and they've included very small, short snippets from Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew in it, like brief. I think they were what 2 seconds each, maybe
I wasn't counting.
something ridiculous, and you can just see them briefly. So they're coming.
Yeah, Jude Law is on his way apparently.
Yeah. Which
Which one is going to be here first, do you think?
I think it'll be Ahsoka first.
I hope it'll be Ahsoka.
I think they're gonna go. So we've got Bad Batch right now, and then I expect Mandalorian. Obviously, we know is coming in March. I think Ahsoka will follow right after that, and then Skeleton Crew at some point later on in the year.
Nice. Okay.
That's. I feel like that would make sense to. It would be like one long movie, like Mandalorian leading into Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But then again, they might divide it up so that you stay subscribed for the whole year.
I mean, that they might. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wonder how many people, when they subscribe to a channel like this,
Mm-hmm.
actually realistically think that they're going to just like go in and out. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, so this show's on for 2 months. I'm going to go on for 2 months, and I'm going to go through the hassle of turning it off for a
Mm-hmm.
month. And then the next show's here for another 3 months, but then I'm going to turn it off for a couple months. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all for the sake of a couple dollars.
I no, I mean this was before streaming got like really big, but when Game of Thrones was first starting, I was working in like the telecommunications industry, and so many people would come in to add HBO to their package, and then like for Game of Thrones, and then as soon as the season was over, they would come in to remove game HBO from their package.
Oh,
So many people. I don't, but I mean, I don't know how many people do that with streaming. I feel like it would just be annoying.
it might be.
So, but yeah, that's that. And actually, Loki was in that trailer too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
It was a
I really liked that show, so I'm glad we're getting a second season this year.
yeah. So I was reading this thing that basically said that we're not never going to have like we're never going to have another thing where we get a season of something and then we get the next season. the next year at the same time, like
Like
with
if
with
it's
post production being what it currently is, which I don't know.
Mhm.
Like they kept obliquely referencing it, and the technical things that they said didn't make any sense to me. But they're basically saying that like there's just no way that they could do like Mandalorian that starts in November and
Mhm.
then the next season of Mandalorian that starts the next November. Like that's just not feasible. Even if they start filming before the season airs,
Right.
it's just not something they can do these days for some reason.
It's interesting.
Sure.
Makes me wonder. I would love to. Was that like an article?
Yeah, I can try to find it for you at some point.
I'm just curious about it. Like, what were their reasons behind it? That's all.
I don't know. No
Uh,
one knows, Sarah.
I'm just curious. It doesn't surprise me, but I would like to know the actual reasoning behind it.
Oh well, I'll try to find it. I really will.
All right. Um. So yeah,
And she never heard from him again.
never got it.
Yeah,
Uh.
it was fairly interesting. I didn't know if it was. It's like I'm really trying to weed out that like they have this feed that Google keeps giving me.
Mhm.
Um, and I keep trying to weed out just like the total garbage. And this was actually a so I've been clicking on a lot of just random crap, and then I just go back and block it because I'm like, you have nothing worthwhile to say. You're just trying for clicks, so I'll block you forever. And hopefully, you don't actually put out good content other than that one thing because I just judged you entirely by that one piece of content.
Mhm.
But this one was like, oh yeah, I'll keep reading things from that guy. That was actually interesting.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, maybe I'll find it. Um.
Even a blind squirrel sometimes finds an acorn.
Yeah. Frick. Uh.
Not that
Okay.
you're a blind squirrel.
That's it though for news. There's really nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's truthful. Yeah.
So do you want to move on and talk about some TV shows?
If we have to,
I mean, we don't have to, but
should we just end it here?
yeah.
Like, here's your cast, guys. uh, okay, so let's talk about Willow,
All right.
and then we'll talk about the 2 episodes of Bad Batch and stuff.
All right. Um,
Okay.
yeah, because we only had the one episode of Willow to watch this week. So,
Yeah, so the first episode here is the first episode, the 7th episode, and this is apparently 7 of 8. So we have
Mhm.
one last one. This is the penultimate. This is called Beyond the Shattered Sea. It was a full hour,
Mhm.
and the caption is our heroes finally reach the place where all maps end, the infinite expanse of the Shattered Sea.
Mhm. Yeah. So, what did you think of this one? Because this is, like you said, it's the penultimate. It's the second last episode, and there's a lot of stuff that theoretically needs to be wrapped up.
I don't know. I was just like I expected it to be more actionful.
Yeah, it did seem like a lot of like montage scenes, like with them like training and like Alora's training and Kit and is train
Yeah,
like practicing like there it was a lot of that kind of stuff,
they're
really.
doing all their fireworks practice and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Um
it's like they're gonna be able to give a good show, like rival Gandalf. I
yeah.
mean, I just kept thinking if they're kind of close to the city and they're trying to like sneak in and save this guy because there's like this weird juxtaposition of okay, when they get there there's this implication that they have to be stealthy about going there because every time they face any of the crone's minions
Mhm.
they just run away, like they can't fight, they couldn't possibly beat these guys.
Right.
And so if they get there, who's going to be there? Like, no, not the crone's minions at her fortress. Like, oh no, we can't. So they can't like storm the castle and free Eric. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to go and stealth themselves in. But then on their way to the castle, they're just on like this flat plain. It's like a sea. I mean, literally looks like a sea. And they're just shooting off fireworks at each other all night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, "Hey, we're right here. We're approaching. We're gonna be there in a month or two or whatever."
Well, so I was wondering that too, like because of how they were doing the scenes and everything. It like I wonder if they did that to show time passing or something. Like I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. And then there's that one scene where it was like all the stars in the sky, and I thought they were like in a cavern or something because it just seemed like there were too many stars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I will say the one thing that I actually have really been enjoying with this show is that
Mm-hmm.
they seem to have a really cool handle on the soundtrack.
Okay, you like the soundtrack?
Yeah, I feel like it fits.
Sure. Yeah, it hasn't bothered me before. I you have to be pretty careful with me at least about adding like songs to like the outro always has some kind of a singing like a
Mm-hmm.
some kind of singing like actually a song with lyrics, and that can really be an off-putting thing to me if they get that wrong, but they haven't really. They've done a good job so far, at least to my taste.
Yeah, well, I feel like the songs that they're picking are fitting the episodes. Like they're matching the theme and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and they've done a pretty solid job at that. And then you've got these montage fighting scenes.
Yeah. So there was a lot of weirdness. So first off, let's see, they have to they reach the sea,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, we have to go. And then the next scene shows Kit just falling over, and you don't have any idea if she's gone like all day, if she just like stumbled on her way to start going across the sea,
Mm-hmm.
if maybe they've been going for days, who knows? But at some point, they just randomly hit like some kind of shop and hotel place.
Right.
And what's her name? The savior of mankind woman. She thinks that the old man is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I guess that's okay for him to. And then he's like, just asleep. And I'm like, what? Why did you assume he was dead?
It's very man.
I'm
I
glad humankind isn't in her hands for real.
it
She's like,
is
he's probably dead. Oh no, he's just sleeping,
he's just
apparently.
sleeping. Um it's I don't even know what the right word is for it cuz I it just feels kind of silly.
Why did he make a house out there? How did he make a house out there?
Who knows? Who knows? But I mean also so in this episode you've got them learning. It feels like they tried to tie up some loose ends in a way, not really, but like you have this whole Kit and Jade thing sort of being addressed that's not really being
Oh,
addressed, but kind of is. And like Alora knows that she is supposed to die, and like things are slowly being uh, worked in. But I feel like there's still a lot to go over for there being one more episode left.
yeah. I mean, they did do some closure. Like I thought it was funny. Like so, finally, Kit and Jade hook up, and good for them, I guess. Whatever. I did think it was awkward. Like how often were they hooking up? Like there wasn't much room on any of the like little islands that they found. Like the privacy issue would have
Mm-hmm.
been, I don't know, just funny. Whatever. Yeah, I thought it was funny though. I'm glad that they finally resolved that because they didn't need to keep dragging it out. I thought maybe they would, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad they didn't.
Yeah, it's.
Um,
But I feel like there's still a lot left to go through.
Yeah. Well, I thought what's his name? Uh the the guy I was making fun of you for not knowing his name that I'm forgetting
Grayson?
now. Borman.
Oh, Borman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you didn't know Grayson's name either. So yeah, Borman. I like that he's like, oh yeah, for the cuirass. And no one even cares about his cuirass or anyone's ass. But like they don't care. They're like, aren't you gonna just put it on while you're fighting the minions of things? And he's like, no, it's not the right time. So the funny thing is the episode ends with them like jumping off the cliff, but it's just those
Mhm.
two, and then but I would laugh hysterically if the next episode just never showed Willow or Borman or any of those guys.
Oh, if it was just Kit, Alora, and Eric.
Yeah, like the final episode just didn't have any closure for anyone else.
That would
Like,
be awful. They can't do that.
oh, I know. I mean, it would be awful, but I can almost see the show doing it. Just not because this show's awful. I've actually really enjoyed it, for to the degree that it's yeah, it's been fun. It really has. It's funny that I don't know. They kind of set it up at the end. They're like, oh, it's just those two, but like Borman needs to have the little. He needs to get the cuirass thing to work,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to see what Grayson's gonna do or Graydon or whatever. To like, because he dropped that he's gonna kill Borman, or his dad wants him to. So
Right.
they got to resolve that a little bit. Not to mention the awkward love triangle or square even of like the crone with Eric and Dove and Grayson.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
So those guys have to fall off the cliff. And not to mention, it would be really funny if the season finale just didn't have Willow in it. It's called Willow, it doesn't have Willow.
I don't think they'll do that.
Well, but they got to set it up to look like it's going to do that, you know?
See, I didn't even think of that as a possibility though, so I don't know if it was necessarily set up that way.
Oh, just because you didn't see it means it wasn't. Got it.
Well, no, I'm just saying like just because you have two
I'm playing.
characters enter one area doesn't mean that's the only thing.
Well, so everyone else was gonna quit. Everyone else was like, "No, we're turning back." I thought it was. I did think it was a little bit like. Okay, so I rewatched the Hobbit movies recently with my
Mhm.
sons because we were reading the Hobbit, and we watched the movies, and I actually liked the movies a lot more the second time through. The one thing that's always annoyed me though is, have you seen the movies?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So there's this scene where they get to the mountain and they're supposed to something's supposed to work for them, and like they're supposed to be able to open a door at the right time at the right moment, play the place, and they get there, they're at the right time, they're at the right place roughly, and they can't open the door that's not working, and before they try everything, like they've literally been there for like 5 minutes, they all just get depressed and leave in a huff.
Hmm.
All the dwarves are like, I guess we're going down the mountain, we're going back home, we're done.
Right.
And I'm always like, you guys have traveled for like months and months and months, and you're giving up after 5 minutes. Like, and you're supposed to be stubborn dwarves. And that's what it felt like here, just a little bit. Like they've been trekking through this bog for months,
Hmm.
and they've been on this crazy adventure, and they see the waterfall. They're like, all right, I'm gone.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Well, I'm just like, where is your resolve at all? Like everyone's just like, all right, yeah, I'm cool with just leaving forever. Sure.
No, no problem.
Well, they didn't even like take a minute to look around. Like maybe we'd follow the waterfall around and try to see if there's, like they're just like, no, we're gone. And so the kind of lead, so the two people who were like, okay, well, we're gonna go. They actually do go,
Hmm.
and then the rest of them presumably are just waiting for him up top,
Presumably.
presumably.
I, f-
Oh,
I was when I was watching it, I got the vibe that like So Alora and Kit have gone through whatever, fallen off the side of the cliff, and they're with Eric. And I was like, okay, so I was thinking that the whole entire episode would take place where Eric is, wherever that world is,
The
and
Forgotten City, yeah.
that everyone else would appear and like follow somehow and get there.
It's like it's like the spawn points in Halo. I don't know if you've played many of those games, but like it used to be that if your friend can get to safety, like you're playing multiplayer against like co-op, I guess, against the environment. And if they can get far enough away from an enemy, like you die, they have to respawn you, but they can't respawn you in the middle of the fight. So your
Yeah.
friend has to run away. And then once you get to a place of safety, then you can respawn.
Yeah.
There, like that. I like that. They're just like, all right, we'll respawn you guys in just a minute. Like you guys don't have to plummet down. No, I thought it was fun. There's just a lot of things to poke holes in today. I mean, in a lot of them, I guess, but
Yeah, there's a ton of things to poke holes in with it. I think part of the problem is that you've got 8 episodes and nothing really happened until the last 2, until episodes like 6 and 7.
not much. Yeah, yeah. It's
And
just been weird.
if you had changed that a little bit, you could have had a whole lot more happening, that would fill out some of these problems.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I mean I really am enjoying the show. I mean I'm probably coming across as being a cantankerous old critic or something. I do enjoy it. Like just the fact that it's just so weird. Everything about it. Like there's being cloned by some like creature who can literally swim through mud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty cute creature, actually.
I know it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a weird show, and I think my issue with it now is I'm like, okay, you have 1 episode left. What are you gonna do with that episode? That isn't going to come across as rushed and like you dropped the ball.
Do you think the crow creature is actually dead? Did Graydon kill him? Her?
Hmm,
It?
I don't think so.
It looked pretty like disappeared to me. I
Maybe
mean, I won't like be angry if they lived or something. It's just
maybe they're respawning.
yeah, that's what it is.
Uh
Uh, I don't know what my response to that would be.
uh I will say I wasn't like surprised or anything, but I thought it was pretty awesome that you and I last week were like, there's something up with that girl with Eric. She's bad
Mm-hmm.
news, and here we are.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you probably caught this, but I
Mm-hmm.
liked that they kind of built they kind of in a way told us the storyline of the crone. Like she's a crone because okay, like did you link that she is from the same land as the old man in the hut?
No, I didn't like that.
Yeah, so he was talking about how their princess was stolen and he and his knights went out to go find her.
Mm-hmm.
And so and then they obviously they never did, but he's an old man now. He was a knight, he loved her or whatever. And then but he's been gone for, he's like in his 70s or something, at least maybe older, who knows, but it's been a long time. And so she was stolen and he's trying to find her. And at this point she is a crone, she's just old and whatever, but she's got magic to make her look young and
Right.
attractive or whatever. But she was saying she was the princess of that same country. I
Mm-hmm.
forget what it's called now, but she's the princess. And clearly she's the crone.
Right.
She was just kind of being disingenuous about when she was captured.
Right. Um. Yeah. No, I didn't like that. I figured she was. I mean, we had kind of talked about her last week being something bad. Um,
Cronish.
yeah, and now here we are.
Yeah. So, all right. I did think this was funny. Like, whatever. They probably just like cut out a scene or something. But there's the scene where okay, so Eric is just hanging out with her.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of flirting. She eventually makes out with him. And he actually shows some honor and he's like, no, I like Dove. And he actually knows her actual name,
Right.
which I thought was a point in his favor, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But then not only did he know her name, he actually was like, no, I can't. Like I'm not gonna cheat. And you kind of got the sense at the start of the show that he might just be good for that.
Do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh, but like he was like, yeah, just like be the best person you can, be the best, like prince I can, and for my people, and be the best brother I can and support, and then eventually be the best husband and the best dad. And I was like, all right, go Eric. And then pretty soon after that, they kiss, and then she's like, come with me. I'm the crone. He's like, oh, you're the crone. She's like, you're freaking out. He's like, yeah, no shit. I'm
Mm-hmm.
freaking out. Like, clearly, like you've imprisoned me here in this hopeless wasteland, and now you're trying to seduce me after telling me vehemently that you wouldn't stand for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs away. And then the next scene, he says, like, so he's running from evil. Like, clearly, he's just like, I can't. And then the next scene, he says, I'll do whatever you want. Like, he just capitulates completely.
Right. Which is why, like, I think it was rushed in terms of the other episodes because that's something that you could have shown what happened in between there. Like what broke him to do that, or did she do something with her magic to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of free, freedom of to choose or whatever, free, agency.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she didn't, but one way or another, I just thought it was funny. He just went from no, I will not,
Right.
and then he's like, I'll do whatever you want. The very next scene,
Right. But again,
I
like
like, I,
he could have the freedom to choose that, and we just don't know what happened.
no, I mean, I would be fine with that choice. I don't care about his choice really, except for they showed one thing where he just like fled. He's like, no, this
Mm-hmm.
is loathsome. And then the next one, he's like, I'm kind of thirsty. Sure, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think we're saying
Yeah,
the same thing. Like, and
yeah,
that
just like,
goes back to it being a rushed last couple of
hmm
episodes.
well, it goes back to yeah. So this episode and then the one before showed him, and
Yeah.
then the one before that didn't. But then the episode right before that did for just a second. He's just like wakes up in the city,
So
and that's it. And then they skip him in the next one, and then they start showing him some more.
I feel like they could have cut some stuff from like the main storyline area that was kind of fluffy and fillery and had these moments with him to create more of a story of what's happening there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really even want more story. Like, it's honestly like that. It's the most boring part of the show was Eric and him just like I'm thirsty, But I mean, that they needed more development though, so I don't know. Like you're right, we probably should have more. Just
Right.
you know, I don't know. So okay, now he has like he's slick looking. Like she just has like a new wardrobe waiting for him once
Mm-hmm.
he capitulates. Honestly, I thought it would be I don't know. Tonight I'm just feeling like really I just really wanted to see a bunch of like almost off color twists. I wanted to see him like I'll do whatever you want and then like the next scene is just like a steamy, like sex scene for a second, you know? And it's just like, oh man, that escalated quickly. Like it would have just been, like it's just funny to me. I don't know. But like he just capitulated so quickly. Yeah. It is what it is, though. And now he looks, he's ready. He's like, hello.
See, I got the vibe from it that she did something to him. Like, I don't think this is his free will choice.
I think he was just thirsty and just wussed out. I
Right.
think he took away like the time that he didn't have water available.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed so devastated one time, and then this time he's like reaching for water and he can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But we just didn't see the process of him dehydrating or anything.
Right. Yeah.
I hope it's not her forcing him to like. I hate. I've always disliked that. Like I'm a good guy, but I'm have to be a bad. They've done it before, I guess, with the zombie guys. So
It's in a lot of movies and shows, so it wouldn't surprise me as something.
like people's decisions are always way more interesting to me when it's them making them, though, because in essence, it becomes two versions of the crone at this point.
Right. Which I understand that. Like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying the vibe that I got was that she did something.
Okay, well, one way or another, he is not on the good side anymore.
Right. That was very obvious.
So how badly did you want when Kit and Laura were hugging each other in the waterfall and Kit's like, "No, you have to own your situation." I was like, "How have you ever owned anything?" Like she's trying to give her a pep talk. She's like, "We have to." And then she actually followed through and went herself. Like good for Kit. I really like I've just wanted these stupid twists. So what I wanted was like so they're hugging each other and she's like kind of turning
Mm-hmm.
Elora and I wanted her to just like push her off the waterfall, just Elora.
Just Laura.
Yeah, like Kit's just like I'm hugging you, we're gonna fall off the edge together,
Mm-hmm.
and then Kit just like shoves her off the edge. She's like, all right.
You really wanted some twists to happen this episode.
Yeah, I did. I wanted something crazy and nothing.
I feel like that just would have made it even worse.
Oh, I think overall narratively, yeah, it would absolutely like all both of the things I want. Like and today I would have laughed riotously. I'm just in the mood. I would have been hilarious to me. And like long term, it wouldn't have been fulfilling, but I can see that. And yet, the heart wants what it wants. All right,
I mean, fair.
yeah. Like Eric wanted some water.
I just wanted answers.
Yeah. Uh, Willow wanted to go home for some reason. He's like, my grown ass adult daughter, who I can't save or even hope to save because I'm like literally like a quarter of a year away from her right now. Needs me to turn back and save her right now.
Yep. Yep.
All right, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're short enough to actually be able to sleep on the little mud sledge thing. Good for you.
Uh, yeah, so there's one episode left,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's not going to be fulfilling in terms of wrapping up these storylines.
So they're gonna have to find a way to magically teleport away from this city immemorial
Mm-hmm.
because they are, yeah, that they're gonna have to teleport away. That's all. Because otherwise, maybe we could have season two, the return journey.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Like, I either have to wrap everything up or set it up for a season two, and I think both options are going to be disappointing at this point.
Sure. Okay, so let's let's remember too. Okay, so do you remember in one of the first episodes, someone actually commented on this in on the Discord server,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're talking about the two. We never even talked about them at all. The two like lumberjack women people.
Okay.
Do you remember? And Elora's like trying to escape the zombie dudes,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just like in the forest, and like, and then the zombie guy comes and just kills them.
Okay.
You remember them?
Vaguely.
Yeah, like they're just like awkward lumberjack women. But they like swear to Elora. They're like, "Oh, you're like the chosen one or something. Like, I hope you let us form an army for you." And like they're talking about this prophecy that like is generally known to the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And we never see another hint of that beyond those two. We never at any point see a hint of it.
Right. So are you thinking it's going to come back in this episode?
I don't know. It can, frankly, like so. I could see it being like so the way I guess I could see it, maybe they just left those two women in at just for fun, like they're like yay, but they changed the narrative at some point. But I mean, each time they go, so like they find a new village to hang out in, kind
Mm-hmm.
of, like they visit the Nelwyn, the Willow's village, and then they visit the Skull people who callously murder people, but they say they don't.
Right.
And then they go see the trolls, and I could see that interaction going differently if the writers wanted to go that way of like somehow the trolls respect Elora and you know vaguely agree to help her in the future, and then at the end they get to the city of Memorial, which isn't just like half the world away,
Mm-hmm.
via mud sledge, and they show up and they're like, "Oh, we can't win this fight. There's just like this whole horde of cronies." And then like all these armies just like show up. The trolls are like, "We're here for you." And like I could see it being like this touching gathering of all the forces of the realm to fight the evil of the crone.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I can still see the skull people like coming to help if they had any idea how to get there. Like you can't magically teleport an entire army out there.
Right.
So, and also like the visions of Willow, Willow's having of like Laura's gonna die and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's not like on a battlefield, and I don't see how we can have a battlefield, even if all the people decide to get over themselves and jump over the cliff, which I'm sure they will
Mm-hmm.
in some way, or they respawn. They let their friends spawn them out, one way or another. They're there, and then the Crone's minions, like all five of them show up. Like that's not a battle. It's just like a little skirmish. No
Right.
matter how desperate or epic it is, it's not a full-on battle with corpses littering the ground. So I
Okay.
don't know how they can do it. I hope they come out with a ridiculous and like almost plausible way that I can just be like, all right, I'm good. Let's go with it.
Yeah. I I feel like I'm at the point where I just don't know what to expect next episode.
Yeah, I want to see the pitched battle that they've kind of been hinting at that I don't think is going to happen,
I don't
but
think it's gonna happen either.
it's fine. Um, so I don't know about you. So I know I've sounded so negative about this, and even despite me saying like I've enjoyed it, here's the thing. Here's the charm about this show.
Mm-hmm.
So for me is that there are so many plot holes and so many dumb things that you can really just like poke through, and I don't like I'm naturally looking for those just because that's how my brain works, but like unlike some other shows that take themselves too seriously,
Mm-hmm.
if they take themselves seriously and have a lot of plot holes, then I'm like, oh, like that makes me like it way less.
Right.
This one has me just buying into it. I'm just like, all right, let's go. Like, let's just go. Like, Laura has no way of knowing how to shoot the you know her stick, but
Mm-hmm.
she does sometimes, and that's fine. Like, they needed it for script reasons. Great.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I just buy it. I buy it. I like all of it. The ride is just enjoyable, and I don't really care about the destination.
Well, and like I think that's just because it's been like that the whole time,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't. There are just parts of it that just don't make sense.
No, it's all over the place. It is wild and strange and weirdly paced, and every episode is its own like unique themed. Like this is like them wandering in the wilderness for ever, and so is Eric,
Mm-hmm.
frankly. And it's just like this really desolate thing. They probably just plodded around in the same swamp for like however many days it took to shoot this whole episode. Like just like one little like acre of swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine though. I enjoyed it. I genuinely I would give this episode like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
Right. Yeah.
What would you give it?
Probably like a seven.
Yeah, like
Seven,
it's
seven and a
enjoy
half. It was
the
fine.
shenanigans are enjoyable.
This was the episode that I'm like, cool. I want to know what's going on now. Like last episode, episode 6 was the one I was like, okay, things are starting, and this was the episode that I'm like, okay, like I can see what the problems are going to be and the resolution that needs to happen. But because it's the second last episode, I'm like, I don't know.
All right.
So we'll see. I guess
Yeah.
how the finale is.
Well, yeah, they've given up their what do they call it? Their mud beast, whatever it's called.
Oh,
Their mud mander or something.
I have no idea what they called it.
Oh, that makes sense that you wouldn't know. But
Whatever.
but I don't remember it either. It's good. We're good. We're good at forgetting things together. So they're giving that up. There's no way they walk all the way back after this.
No, I don't think they would.
Right. But so if they go in, let's say that like everything happens so quickly and they just like murder the crone and her cronies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like, whether Eric's dead or alive or grateful or like upset, whatever, like they're all just stuck in this city forever, or there's going to be some magical portal that the crone's been using to send her minions to their location every time.
There has to be some kind of portal.
And it just makes me wonder, why isn't there a portal to that city?
There
I mean, there
probably
must be.
there probably is, and they just haven't found it.
Yeah.
Or it's closed from maybe it's like maybe she's closed it from that side.
That would be spicy.
So.
I don't know. I thought it was fun. It'll be good. And then yeah, like one episode. I wonder if it'll be like an hour and a half or something. There's a lot to wrap up.
That's true. They could make it longer. I don't know if that would be good or not.
I don't know. I want to see Borman become worthy somehow.
I don't know if we see that.
No?
I don't know. I literally have no idea what to expect next episode because the show has been so all over the place and also so slow to actually get anywhere that I'm like, what is even going to happen next episode that's going to seem satisfying?
Yeah, I like the slow burn, man. I don't mind it. Like as long as there's some good quips, some good, like some incremental character development, which there was in there has been. Like as long as I enjoy the quirkiness, I'd watch this. I'd watch another season of this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. As long as I enjoy the characters and their development, then I mean I could be fine with this dragging out another like four episodes or something.
Right.
I mean not at the stage that they're at now. Now they've got to finish it now. But like if there was just like 3 more episodes of filler, I think I'd have been like, oh, that's fine.
We'll see.
Just ride the waves of ridiculousness.
We'll see.
Okay, so you actually liked it.
Yeah, I did like it.
Well, yeah, you seem so like reserved about all of it today.
No, I'm trying to figure out I don't even know how to say it, so it's fine. Um, I, I
Oh,
I did like it. I actually enjoyed the bits with Eric and the crone in there. I thought it was good. I thought that was I liked getting to see more of his storyline. I'm disappointed that we
hmm.
didn't get to see more of it overall.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
like the ending where he comes out and you know that he's clearly not on their side. I thought that was fantastic.
No, I did like that. He's like, he took a shower finally. Like, good for you, Eric. Yeah, it was it. I I was just always so weirded out by her, I think, and her changeability. Like she was like so every scene she was just a little bit different. I mean, and I think that was written in. I didn't love those scenes, but I'm glad you did. There's nothing wrong with liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Do do you like Eric as a character?
I wouldn't say I like him. I wouldn't say I dislike him. I think he was a missed opportunity. Right now, his character just feels like a device. His character is a device to get
Hmm.
Kit there and get Alora there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. Like I I I liked I liked his strength of character. The two episodes that we get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
The two opportunities that he's had to show his strength of character have been good. Like the first episode where he's like, Kit, I'm gonna be the best brother you can have. Like I'm gonna help you here. Like we're gonna figure this out.
Right.
I don't know how we're gonna do it. And she's just like this ungrateful, awful person, like she is the whole most of the season. But he's like, I'm stepping up. I'm gonna do well. Like I don't know how to do it. I'm an irresponsible lout, but I'm gonna like be good here now. Like that was awesome. Like you could see he's got some steel in him. Like he's got some resolve. And then again, like he's clearly attracted to this girl. They're literally on a desert island. Like he's probably never gonna see Dove again,
Mm-hmm.
really. And yet he's still like, no, I'm gonna stay faithful. Like
Right.
those two, like I like that. That's the kind of thing that I'm a sucker for. I want to see people, you know, defiantly, break through the difficulties of life and actually, stand strong. That's what I want. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love to see that. But you're right. He's kind of turned into a plot device at this point.
I think he has been a plot device this whole time.
Well, yeah, like at least the first episode, he interacted with all the different characters.
Right.
But now it's just been him and the crone,
But
or him and no one.
but even in the first episode, like yeah, he was interacting, but him getting taken
Mhm.
is how you get Kit and Alora and Willow and all of them to this point.
Right.
And we've had nothing with him this whole time except for a couple of like little snippets of showing him in this city. And then this episode we obviously had a lot more and you got to see a lot more of his character, which
Hmm.
was great, but that's 7 episodes in and there's one
Right.
left. So
Yeah.
you've just taken a device and been like, oh yeah, by the way, let's just sprinkle some personality on him because it is a character. We didn't steal like her teddy bear or something.
Everyone's like the royal teddy bear.
like we took an actual person, so let's give him some personality, which is great, but it's a missed opportunity because you could have had that happening this whole time.
Right. Well, I mean, I think I would have been more open and receptive to more scenes with him if they had sprinkled him in throughout the other
Yeah.
episodes, more than just
Yeah.
like we only really saw him this episode and then a little bit last episode. And then we just like kind of see him like stepping out of his prison
Right.
in episode like 4 or something.
Like I think it would have been cool if you had seen him. This episode he when he was talking about walking through the city and it just like not going anywhere and like he was trying to escape or whatever. Um
Hmm.
that would have been cool to see as one of those montage scenes, right? Like instead of giving me a montage of Kit sword fighting and Alora doing her magic and whatever, we already know
Hmm.
Kit can sword fight. Like we've seen that already. don't give me another one of those montages. Give me a montage of him trying to get through the city, and then I will understand more about like what he's been through while there, and maybe like you learn why can't he get through the city. Does it actually, like, is it an endless loop? Does he just keep walking and then somehow end up back where he started, no matter where, in what direction he goes? Or like,
Right.
does he turn around because he gets frustrated? Like, what is the deal where he can't leave? Like, what stops him? And then if you see a montage of him repeatedly trying that, you're going to be like, okay, he's been there for a while. He's clearly probably going a little bit crazy.
Clearly, probably. Yeah.
So,
I would have liked to see more, and I would have liked. I think that's the thing I would find the most objectionable in some ways right now is like I don't love that he's just like he was enjoyable when he was hanging out with all the different people,
mm-hmm.
and like the way they set it up, he's just like he's the MacGuffin
Right.
is what he is. He's the thing everyone is fixated on. They have to achieve this thing. They have to go and rescue him. And along the way, they discover other important aspects of themselves, and they grow, and they're, you know, whatever. But he's like you're right, like he is just a plot device. And it would have been more fun to have him actually hanging out with them the whole time and interacting, and not being MacGuffined, like just stuffed in the tower,
Right.
waiting to be rescued.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you could have still used him as a device to get them there, but you could have shown it in a different manner.
Yeah, agreed.
So, we'll see. This whole, like, this, the reason why I did like this episode with, is particularly with him and with in those scenes, is because we're getting to see more of it, and I liked getting to see at the end him clearly not be on that side, because I'm like, okay, like, now you've got a problem to work through because you want to save your brother, but your brother clearly doesn't give an F about you right now. So, what are you going to do? But then the flip side of how this was done is, how did he get to that point?
Honestly, this all just really feels like they had a script, an original script, and it's just been like rewritten several times. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Right.
Is it's just like, oh, we can't actually do that for whatever reason, like we have to go this other direction, oh, we have to go this direction, like i, I don't know, it there's just been some weird stuff, and like Willow's friend Silas just dying, and Willow's just like, yeah, let's just continue along, he's my best
Yeah.
friend, but whatever, like who cares about that guy, really? They're like, your best friend, wasn't he? He's like, he was, I knew him from whenever.
Right. And just
and
carries
then
on.
and then yeah, he's just like continuing along, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a
What
lot
like
of weird stuff like that.
Yeah, which I mean, the way they wrote it, they kind of made it so that they're kind of proof from like the quirkiness of that sort of thing. Like, I don't really care that he. It's the same thing. Like, I like Star Wars Episode 4, like the original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That there's this scene though that is so bizarre, and like if you really want to take it seriously, that can ruin everything for you. But like it has Luke, who has just lost an old man who he's known for about a day,
Mm-hmm.
being comforted by the woman whose planet she represents, and her dad is, and her mom is there, and everyone she loves is on that planet, and her planet's just been destroyed less than a day ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she also lost Kenobi as well. She's gonna miss him because she knows him,
Right.
and yet she's comforting Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe he's gone, this guy I know have known for a day. And it's like, you still like it if you just can't think about it too much.
Right. Because then it ruins it.
You could ruin it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, maybe we should move on to
Bad Batch.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bad Batch. Season 2.
How'd you like it?
I liked it. It was pretty much what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's It's what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It I mean it's them going right back into action.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
Yeah, so I thought it was fun. So the thing that kept sticking out to me was in the first episode, it seemed like they fought stormtroopers a lot more. Like even though
Mhm.
stormtroopers were kind of like the new troops, like it seemed like they ended with fighting a ton of stormtroopers and I guess other type of things. But like they had kind of given us the impression that stormtroopers were the future and clones were all being phased out, which I mean they still are, but in this fight, it's only clones that they're fighting.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was an interesting thing. Like I've always liked being able to point these things out to my boys, especially of like, oh look, they're stunning them. They're not just killing them out of hand. Just because they're enemy combatants doesn't mean they can't respect life.
Right. Um yeah, but that is a good point that they were fighting clone troopers.
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be more significant interaction between them. I thought that maybe there would be something like one of them, a few of them gets captured and gets interviewed by the clone commander there, and he's like, "Oh, like so I think what they're trying to do is show that Order 66 is starting to wear off.
Mhm.
It's like Emperor pushed a button and it's like real strong for a while and then it just slowly fades until that chip just kind of burns away.
Right. And then eventually you've got just a bunch of clones that can't be controlled.
Right. Well, and there was an episode in the last Bad Batch where there was a like on like the episodes with Hera in them
Mhm.
on Ryloth, yeah, Ryloth, the Twilight Cone planet, where there's that clone in like kind of greenish blue armor,
Mhm.
and he eventually like gives a speech. He's like, "We're better than this. Why are we doing this?" And then like they get killed by the Imperials,
Right.
by the loyal clones, and you can see like the clones are starting to break free. It's not just Bad Batch who are in this situation now. It's the clones as well.
Yeah, which I think is going to have a really interesting dynamic in the season.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like at some point clones are just going to be are they going to just become enemies of the state kind of like just hunted down like the Jedi?
Right. Mm, that would be not good.
Yeah, I agree. But like we almost see no sign of any clones after a certain point, right? Like episode 3 happens
Mhm.
and we never see another clone again and I guess we do see they did have the just like really brief cameo of gosh, I'm forgetting his name, the guy who plays Django.
Oh, yeah, Tamora
Morrison, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he shows up in the Kenobi show. Just he's like help an old war vet or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that is true. He was there.
Yeah, which is fun. Like I like, and Kenobi is actually like, yeah, I'll chip in.
Mhm.
I'll help you out. It's a fun interaction, but otherwise we don't see clones. We know that they're still young enough to be alive. Like they haven't aged so much that they would have died because
Mhm.
we do see like I guess we see Rex and his couple of clone buddies that are hanging out,
Right.
but like there are tons of clones. There are hundreds of thousands of clones, and you have to think the Empire didn't just send them all to war and they all naturally died of fighting. Like you have to think that something happened, something cataclysmic for the clone population. Unfortunately,
Oh, that's dark.
like their own Order 66 almost.
Yeah.
Like not that I would love that. It makes me sad to think of, but I mean I was thinking about that though. That this episode made me think of that.
It also like it makes me wonder if there is going to be because like you said if their chips are slowly starting to fade away. And I mean, I think pointing out the fact that you have that clone war vet in Kenobi is also proof that it sort of fades away because he's obviously not acting like an Imperial clone, right? Um, if that's the case, it makes me feel like you're gonna have some sort of like clone versus Empire uprising, so to speak, and it could end up being how a lot of them die out.
Yeah, or maybe they all stay super loyal and they're all just on the Death Star when it goes, you know?
No.
They're like in the clone quadrant of the Death Star.
uh yeah, this is gonna be I also enjoyed seeing like the clones, like you were saying, they haven't aged that much, but you could tell that Omega's aged like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you could see it,
Yeah.
I could see it more in her than the other clones. And it was pretty
Hmm.
fun to see and like see them working together and you know doing their Bad
Oh yeah.
Batch things.
No, I mean, so the first episode was like really designed to so they're showing like, okay, Omega's like they've decided to homeschool her
Mm-hmm.
basically, you know, which
Yeah.
is fine. You know, like, and Tech. I've never felt like Tech was an especially insightful, like empathetic person. Like he's always just like, well, duh, I knew that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like everyone should know that. I thought it was like when she's like, oh yeah, when they figure out that Omega is an enhanced clone like them, he's like, they're like, why didn't you say something? He's like, I thought it was obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
do. I think Tech is probably one of the highlights of this series.
I mean, I like Tech, and I like that he uses the higher diction, you know, like
Yeah.
the because my boys, you can see, especially my 8-year-old, you know, he's a pretty smart kid, and he's you know he's reading grown-up books and stuff already. So, you know, he's doing a great job. But it's nice to just see him like you can almost see him processing the hit. Like I hear it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is very academic speech. Like I'm
Yeah.
very at home listening to this. Like I just fall into it easy enough. I mean, most grown-ups do. They don't make it so elevated, but I do like that aspect. It's kind of just like a real brief. I don't know. I'm not trying to frame it as an educational show or something, but like just a little bit of kind of nice to have my expose my sons to that a little bit, you know.
But it also just like kind of feeds into this whole thing where they all have their own personalities.
Right. Well, and I think they've always done actually a good job. I like that Lucasfilm does this of like the clones could all be so boring.
Right.
Honestly, like they could just be no personalities, like the way they make stormtroopers, for instance. The stormtroopers actually should have the chance to be more diverse than the clones because the stormtroopers are all just people they picked up from random planets.
Right.
You know, like who knows who's under there, but they should just be just like random people as opposed to clones who have all the same genetic predispositions and everything. But they've done a great job of making all of the clones individuals.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's something that I really like. And then like you're seeing it with Tech. He stands out from the rest of them because of his diction and just like the way he views things.
Yeah, no, I really like Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he had a cool moment actually of like kind of character growth where he's talking to the old guy, the toy maker guy,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I never saw it that way before, like I never saw it from that angle. And I was like, oh, you don't really get that much like development of Tech. In some ways Tech is like the perfect character. Like he's the guy who doesn't need to develop because he's already the smartest. He has everything figured out. He knows exactly where his niche is.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't ever have any arcs of like mental crisis of some sort. Like nothing ever focuses on him because he's already in a way perfect.
Right.
But in a way that kind of like he's fun, he's good, he's got his own quirks and all that. But I do like I hope that they give us a little bit more of like he really had to kind of dig deep this time, honestly, like the way he uh you know he talks to the toy maker or whatever, and he has that empathy moment, and then he's also like injured and he still has to go and save his friends, and he
Mm-hmm.
has to dig deep. He's like has to take these other clones out. I don't know, it's fun. I like these episodes with Tech more than the other ones, I think.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I agree.
Not that I disliked the other ones, to be clear, but
I feel like he just stood out more in these ones.
yeah, I think that that's Yeah, it's good. I like that he's like kind of taken the role of, I mean, he's not the one dad of Omega, but
Right.
he's like the tutor. He's like, oh, this is an unscheduled break, like get
Yeah.
back to work.
I did laugh at that. I thought it was a good line.
Yeah, it's fun.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, so I think they're doing a good job with setting the season up in terms of they're obviously still working together and, you know, Omega's
Yeah.
learning and training and all this kind of stuff. Um, but in particular, with the end of season two, the end of episode two, uh, you can see that divide already starting to happen between the Empire and the clones, um, and I think that is what's going to make this season very interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So I think that that's going to be, this is the clones phase out season kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and they kind of showed that in the trailers as well, honestly. I think that it was especially telling, like they were saying, they're talking about how, like, well, okay, so we could maybe like make more money, but like we're better, like we can make all the money and then disappear just quietly forever,
Right.
and then they're like, well, we shouldn't do that. We're better than that. Like we need to be helping more.
Right.
And and one of the things that they said, like, okay, well, how could we help more? And he's like, well, like we could get more, more armament, more stuff. But then one of the things was more numbers, like they could start recruiting more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was just dropped as a, like a possibility, or if it's a kind of a hint of, all right, maybe Bad Batch are instrumental in setting up, like starting to set up the initial stages of the rebellion.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I didn't even think of that.
Well, like they already met up with Saw once,
Right.
and Saw kind of like challenged him. He's like, "Hey, you don't, like you're gonna have to make the choice."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I don't, they weren't sure what to think of that or whatever. But obviously, they didn't slaughter Saw or his people.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Saw making a cameo this season, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even in episode two, when they meet up with, I think his name was Romar, that that man that was,
The toy maker guy.
yeah, yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I just mean in terms of like they didn't immediately they didn't immediately trust him. They also didn't immediately mistrust him. They worked well with him, I thought, and it was just a good dynamic to see, and like you could see that he seemed like somebody they were like feeding off of each other sort of in terms of
Mm-hmm.
just trying to survive. And I could see that being something that they keep doing, and that would kind of incite more people to keep going and try to survive and rebel.
Yeah, like these little. I thought it was fun that it was on Dooku's home planet, Sereno.
Mm-hmm.
You've watched most of the Clone Wars, maybe all of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I have.
So, and this is pretty niche, honestly. Like they weren't my favorite episodes, anyways. But there's this season or this episode where, I guess a series arc, I guess, where Asajj, Dooku tries to kill Asajj because Sidious is like, hey, like, go kill your apprentice, prove your loyalty to me.
Right.
And so Dooku does, well, he tries to, and then Asajj gets all revengey, and that's where we get, the Mother Talzin arc where they're gonna go and
Mm-hmm.
assassinate Dooku. And so there's all these scenes on Sereno with Count Dooku hanging out. And they went to the back to the throne room, or to whatever his audience room or whatever it is, and that, like, they're hiding behind his desk, waiting to, that's where they get on the lift and everything. It was just, I mean, I think it would have been maybe nice to see a little bit more Sereno stuff,
Right.
but I thought it's just a cool thing to see them paying close attention to the greater continuity of everything.
Right.
Like it all matched what you would kind of expect to see after a little bit of time has passed.
They do a really good job of that, like Filoni and like Just such a good
Mhm.
job of making it all cohesive and it flow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean I really like that they do that. They have they have the story group
Hmm.
is what it's called. Like there's a group of people who exist just to make sure that all the different Star Wars content
Hmm.
comes out is actually canon,
Right. And that it like works out properly in the storyline and everything or timeline.
right?
Yeah. I mean, that's smart because you've gotten to a point now with it where it is so involved and intertwined.
There's a lot of sources out there now. I mean, like there's
Yeah.
comic books that can ruin everything. There's a lot of stuff that like I don't care about. There's levels of caring. Like if they decide that they make a comic book series and then they're like, you know what, we think we could make $1 billion on this cool movie idea, but we have to kind of contradict this comic book.
Hmm.
I mean, you bet your ass that they're just going
They're
to
going to do it.
like they're like, you know what, we'll apologize to the comic book creator, but and I think the majority of the fan bases be like, so what? Who cares?
Well, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking more along the lines of like you have the movies and then you have Bad Bad Batch, um, Rebels. You have um, Mandalorian. Now you're gonna have Ahsoka. Like you have all Book of Boba Fett. You have all these different things.
Mhm.
Kenobi.
Tons of them.
That like you kind of need a story group to help you keep your storylines straight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I know you read part of the Way of Kings recently,
Hmm.
and like it's part of this greater Cosmere universe that he's
Right.
created. So like it's not just the Stormlight Archive is 4 books, it'll eventually be 10, but
There's
um
other series that are part of the same universe.
right. And so he actually has a person who he hired exclusively to maintain the timeline
Oh wow.
of it because they all happen across a span of time too. It's not like all happening simultaneously. I mean,
Hmm.
some of it is, but then he has like cool crossovers and stuff, and you're like, oh, I recognize this character's from this book, and but she's in this one now for a minute, and
Yeah.
how does this magic system interact with the other one? Like it's a cool thing if you want to nerd out on it, but. Yeah, like he was struggling so much to keep track of his timeline that he hired someone just for that, just to map it out.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense when it gets that crazy and involved. So, um, yeah, but they're doing a good job with it and keeping it pretty straight and easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh yeah, they are. And I've always appreciated that about them.
mhm.
I mean, there are a few little discrepancies here and there, but overall, it's been fine.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good. Um, yeah. So overall, first two episodes, I think it was a like I wasn't blown away by them. There wasn't anything in them that I was like, oh my gosh, wow, like that's gonna be so cool this season to follow. But they also weren't disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, so I really did enjoy Bad Batch when it was first released, and I know that some people just don't want to watch animated stuff for whatever reason.
Right.
I thought that their story was pretty good though, and I want to see. So what I want to see more from from the season is I want to see more Mount Tantus.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the operation that they had going on in at the end, like the mountain that they were at and stuff, and that's from old Legends material, actually from like the old Thrawn trilogy way back in the day. That's no longer canon anymore, so I really want to see that. Um, and then I mean, I guess that's not even what I intended to start saying though. I guess the thing about it is I really enjoy the series for what it is. Like it's fun, it's light for the most part. We get to see cool cameos that we saw. I don't know if you like the Martez sisters episodes in the Clone Wars, but like
Mm-hmm.
you know, like we watched the Martez arc with my boys a while ago, and then we saw We watched the Bad Batch episode with them, and my boys were like, "No way, that's so cool! Like they're in here." Like they really thought it was neat. Um, but I don't know, like there was never anything about Bad Batch that I was like, "Oh man, that was epic! That was so cool!" Like
Right.
it was just enjoyable. I just liked it. Like it was good, wholesome fun. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I excuse me, sorry. I don't think this will be the case, but my fear, and I don't think this will be the case, is that when things get to be like they're really well received. Like, I feel like Bad Batch was really well received, and I always worry that like the the showrunners and the creators or whatever will just keep spitting it out because it was well received, and then you're kind of gone past the point of where it should have ended. Like, and I'm a little bit worried that maybe they won't follow something logical, and then logical is the wrong word, but like won't follow a storyline that is necessarily fitting and good, and you're just like, why are you doing these crazy things? And it's just to spit out episodes. And I don't think that will be the case here, but it always makes me worry whenever something is like does well, that they'll just keep going with it. It's kind of like
No,
how you see like 15 seasons of a TV show and you're like, this should have ended 10 seasons ago.
yeah. So okay, here's the thing. I my take on that is, yeah. So albeit it can be an obvious cash grab or whatever, so that can be frustrating. If but for the most part, here's the thing. You say okay, so 15 season show, and it should have ended 10 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that I see, and this is apparent to me because I mean I see these conversations a lot. People don't agree which episode or which season
Mm-hmm.
should have ended on. Some of them will be like should have ended 10 seasons ago. Maybe they all agree that it should have ended, at least 5 seasons ago. But like it's just kind of sad to see like some shows are just ended too early too,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I guess to me, I if I was just the decision maker, there's no money involved and no livelihoods, so I mean not it's fictional, but if it was that case, I like the idea of them going a little over anyways,
Right.
and just risking it just in case it is pretty awesome actually. Because some fans are going to love it so much.
Yeah, and I understand what you're meaning. I just think it works really nicely, and I think again, I don't think this is going to be the case with this, and I think Filoni and Favreau have proven that they usually know what they're doing and have an idea in mind of how they want to do things. But it works nicely when you've got like a storyline arc in mind, so you know all the points you want to hit and tell, and you can work them in,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
Well, so I won't lie. Like I feel this sense of like I like the superhero movies that they're doing. I've really liked the MCU, really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it, and I just feel so like I don't know, sketchy is probably not the right word, but it's just kind of I don't want them to discontinue some of these characters that I really enjoy.
Right.
Like I read this interview, just a really short one, by the guy who plays Drax in
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's say the actor is like, well, I'm so glad that I'm done with that role because I don't want that to be my legacy.
Right.
Like he's just too goofy. I don't want that. And I'm like, I mean, I guess from a professional standpoint, if that's not what you're like into, that's fine. But I'm gonna miss Drax. Like I really like his character. He is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't wish bad things on the actor. If he wants to go a different way professionally, that's fine. But it's also like you kind of have to trust them, whether or not they actually end up making good decisions. It's just like this. Really, I don't want to let go.
Right.
Like I still really liked Captain America. Why did he have to go away?
Right.
Why did we have to get rid of Iron Man? Like all these really well played characters don't have to go away. Damn it! But they also can't just keep expanding that universe indefinitely. Like the last Avengers movies
Mm-hmm.
were hopelessly huge. Like you're like, oh my gosh, how can you get enough screen time for everyone? You can't.
Right. So you just kind of have to wrap it up.
I guess you do.
So,
So yeah, they're making those. I'm glad that I'm not the one making those decisions because I I wouldn't want to. I'm like, what's wrong with it? I still like that character. Like, why are we giving away from him so early?
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I think they're going to do a good job with it. I'm just curious where they will take it, I guess.
With Bad Batch, you mean?
Yeah, with Bad Batch.
Yeah, it'll be good. I I think they. I just okay. So in terms of like greater Star Wars continuity,
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder what they can do. Like what there's this weird thing of all right. I don't mind that there's more Jedi in the galaxy than previously advertised. Like the Yoda's like Luke, if you like the last of the Jedi, will you be? And when Yoda says that to Luke, it's like, okay, well, we still have Ahsoka at least, who's not a Jedi, I guess, but still something like that. You have like Cal Kestis kicking around, you have Ezra kicking around, you have like there's a bunch of Jedi actually who are still kicking around. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yoda saying, "The last of the Jedi will you be?" It is just like, and Yoda knows this actually, even though he's a hermit, he knows that these guys, because they've communicated some at least,
Right. So he knows they're out there.
right? And so I mean, Bad Batch isn't that. They're not Jedi, but they're similar in the sense that they if they lasted until the rebellion started, they would be part of significant things.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest concern is where like they continue along their storyline until the point where there's like this, why aren't you guys just dead by now actually, like what you should have been there at the Battle of Yavin, but you weren't for some reason. Like why didn't we ever see you as any part of anything in the other stories? Like I get worried about that sort of thing of like, but I also don't want them to be slaughtered before the rebellion starts. Like that's super depressing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the kind of like the good thing that they have going right now is because the universe is so big already and like you've got this massive timeline and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a little bit easier in a way to tie in the storyline with what you want to do and make it fit. Um I mean, also presents a challenge because you don't want to contradict any of the other existing content and storylines.
Right.
But it makes it a little bit easier because you kind of have a reference point for yourself to work off of, and you're not just flying blind.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, so far I've had no complaints really. I know that I don't. I must just be easy to please on this stuff. Like I must be a big fanboy because there are people who have decided that like all these other shows are so dumb. Like you see some of these hardcore Star Wars fans saying like Andor was boring or what. And I'm not saying they can't have their own opinion. And a lot of them are honestly arrived at. They're not just like trying to be trendy or crazy or get clicks. Some of them are, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them are just like, no, I was genuinely bored. Like I'm not going to begrudge someone their opinion on something, just because I don't necessarily agree. um but like I've just liked all the content so far that they've come out with. Like I wouldn't make a good, you know I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. you know yeah, that continuity wise, that's a, like they kept the continuity, and that's something that I paid a lot of attention to. And so if someone wants to be quirky, if Boba Fett wants to be a crime lord with no crime, I guess I'm just fine with that. I'm very permissive.
Right.
um does it really make like a huge amount of sense? Maybe not, but I don't know. I'm a Star Wars fan and I like Star Wars. I'm like predisposed to enjoy it until I couldn't do Visions. That's the only thing I couldn't do so far.
Yeah, I haven't been able to finish that one either. Um, Yeah. So.
Like, I've been super surprised. Like, I loved the hell out of the Kenobi show, actually. I thought it was
Mhm.
so fun. I loved Leia in it, especially. I loved that they got to have another lightsaber fight that kind of made sense, actually. Like, I felt that they tied everything together super well. And whenever I hear someone's like, yeah, it's like the Kenobi show, it's not very good or something, I'm like, what? Like, are we enemies now?
Were we
I
watching the
mean,
same show?
yeah, but I don't know. I guess I'm just too permissive. I'm just too happy to. And I think you know me by now. Like, I'm not necessarily like the easiest to just like, you know. I typically I'm like pretty skeptical about things, and it take a while to warm up to things sometimes.
Right.
But I don't know. I just like the Star Wars stuff. What could I say? I want to like it. You know I guess I didn't really like Episode 8. There's that,
Fair.
or 9.
Fair. Um. Yeah. So I forget how many episodes is this supposed to be?
Ooh,
Like
maybe 16.
16 or something like that?
I think I saw 16, yeah.
Because
And
it's
I think that they're having a mid-season finale as well. Like I
oh
think it's like a two-part mid-season finale. Like, I'm not saying like they're taking a break in between,
right,
but like they're having like a climactic, important multi-episode arc kind of thing in the middle.
right. So it's almost like getting 2 seasons back to back.
Like two smaller, yeah.
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 Um. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of nice. Like I like the filler episodes, frankly. I mean, as long as we get to hang out with those characters and stuff, I don't mind a couple episodes where it's like, well, it's just, there's not much movement. I don't mind that. I also, it's nice to have something to point out of like, okay, we're gonna have something substantial on episode 7 and 8 for sure, even if the rest of it's
Right.
kind of nebulous.
Right. Yeah. I think it's gonna be good. I'm pretty excited for this season. I've been excited for this season for a while, so
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to cover double Star Wars shows, actually.
when it overlaps with Mando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, this is actually a good thing to just bring up, folks. So people listening to this, if you want to go to the Discord server and tell us like what kind of things do you want us to talk about more? Like, Bad Batch isn't going to be able to hold our conversation for like super long every week, probably.
Right, because it's only
You
25 minutes.
right, and a lot of it really is a little bit more light. It's more kid friendly stuff. It's more whatever. And not that it makes it bad, it's a lot of fun, but it's like, okay, well, that it's not like tons of substance here. So do you want to talk more about Star Wars continuity? Do you guys want us to talk more about just, I don't know, give us topics in the Discord server? Let us know which thoughts are.
Yeah. That's a good point because 25-minute episodes moving forward.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I mean, like Star Wars continuity, I don't know, honestly, like I haven't even asked you about this, but like that's something I could just talk about, like for a long time. I'd be fine with just talking about that in general, but like, is that something people are interested in
Mm-hmm.
more of? Just like a more focused kind of, like, this is a Star Wars show that talks about other shows as well, or what. I'd be interested to see what other people's opinions are in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious.
Just curious. Not that we have to act on it.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts?
I mean, there's always thoughts, but I think we're good. What about you?
No, I'm just excited to see what's coming next.
What would you rate these two episodes from on a scale from 1 to 10?
I don't know. 7.5, 8.
Yeah.
I thought they were strong. They weren't boring. They didn't feel fillery. Yeah.
Okay, so bold prediction. I think that the Admiral guy at the end is I think they're gonna take him down.
Mmm.
I think because it's gonna make it his own. So he tells the clone, all right, the way we know that the clones are starting to rebel is
Yeah.
he's like, you're gonna falsify this record. And the clone's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Screw you. And he's like, okay, well, I'll kill you.
Right.
And that's not gonna fly for too long. Pretty soon that's gonna end up in conflict.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna make it his vendetta to kill the Bad Batch before the Bad
Ooh.
Batch. Well, he has to, like, his name is on the line. He can't, if word gets out that they're there, he's like, no, I already killed them, guys, like they're dead.
Yeah.
So now he's gonna go all out trying to destroy them before they destroy his reputation as he sees it.
Yep. I could totally see that. I mean that Admiral character is definitely going to be a big role this season.
Yeah, I think he can be the big bad.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily that bright, so they can just keep outmaneuvering him. And get, like, he's not charismatic to the point where, like, the clones aren't personally loyal to him either.
Right. Yeah, I can totally see that. Good call.
I thought it was just super dirty. Like,
Oh, so dirty.
he's just like, oh, you won't obey me? Like, I will just murder you.
Yeah.
It's very Empire-ish.
It is.
But it's still, I don't know. It's funny because it's so ruthless. You could get away with it in an animation show like this, kind of. But, like, I don't know. Like in Andor, it's very cutthroat. But I don't know. People are still, like, trying to murder people. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Maybe they would have. I guess I could see characters from Andor doing that. In fact, Andor did
Andor
cold
did
blood
it.
kill one of them, which I liked. But
Yeah.
I mean that guy was dirty, but that guy was the one who picked the fight with him. It's different. Anyways, the Admiral Rampart, I think we never see him in any other medium. I think he's going down.
Fair enough. It's a good call. I like it.
Ooh, bold. Here's the most bold claim ever. I think it's going to be Crosshair who does it.
Ooh.
Rampart will have them in his power, and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm so much better than you." And Crosshair will be like, have this Vader moment of, does Vader save Luke from the Emperor? You know,
Right.
or not? And Crosshair discovers his loyalty isn't to just following orders; it's also to his friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good call. I like that.
I mean, who knows if that's really, like, they could also just have his ship crash into a moon or something.
Yeah,
Something
and he
weird,
could
but
just die. But I feel like that would be pretty good.
well, for this show to be as good as the last one, you need the conflict of Crosshair.
Oh, absolutely. You 100% do.
You need him to be conflicted about things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is, honestly, I think Crosshair, I mean, it's so late to say this because we're gonna have to sign off soon, but he is almost the most important character in this whole show, actually, because the other clones are going to be good,
Right.
basically good. Like, they're gonna help Rex. Like, there's all those trailers of Rex saying, "So, do you want to do a mission for me?" Like, what do you think they say? Like, shove off? Of course, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, if you're a good guy, we're good guys. We're gonna do it." The only questionable person in the whole series, because all the Imperials are bad, they're evil.
Mm-hmm.
The only person of question are maybe all the other clones, and Crosshair's the big question mark.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point though. And he could go either way.
I think he could.
So, I guess
I mean, they've made him morally ambiguous enough. Like, he was ready to jump in and slaughter those women and children in the refugee camp in the first season. So
I wonder if we'll see him, like, if we do get like that mid-season finale like you're talking about. I wonder if that's where he's going to start to switch back. If that's the route they are going.
Yeah, that's a good point. They need him in most of these episodes, though. I really do believe that's something that they kind of missed this season, or the opening. no mention whatsoever of Crosshair.
Yeah, we maybe hopefully we see him in the next episode then.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
So
It won't ruin it for me, but yeah, the less episodes of him, I think, makes for a weaker overall season.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like, what it would be believable if Hunter was suddenly like, I don't know, guys, maybe we should be Imperials.
Right, exactly. Like that's not going to happen. So you need Crosshair to be the one going back and forth.
Yeah, it has to be that because otherwise everyone's just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
We're good guys. We won't. Like, we might die, but we won't. We might solve problems in interesting ways, but the actual conflict, internal conflict, isn't going to be there unless it's Crosshair.
Right.
So, anyways, I think
Interesting.
it'll be done. I'm sorry. All these bonus thoughts. My apologies.
No, you're good. Yeah, so I guess that's it until next week then. No more bonus thoughts.
None. No bonus thoughts from old Adam here.
No. So we will have the finale of Willow, which may or may not be satisfying.
Yep.
And
May or may not.
And the next episode of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds like a plan.
It does. Sounds like a good plan to be.
Yeah. And maybe more bonus thoughts.
All the bonus thoughts, yep.
All right. I think that's it then.
All right, guys. Shove off.